Hey there everyone, Noir here and welcome to Fan Theories. Before we begin, if you are new to this series or if you haven't seen Catghost, I would highly suggest pausing this video and watching those first, because throughout this series I will be referring back to previous points that I had made to improve upon them. I'll give you a couple of seconds here to do that and then you can carry on after you have caught up. Okay. So we are at episode 2 of Catghost, and things only get more and more intricate the further down the proverbial rabbit hole we go. So let's start analysing Knock. We begin this episode with a red door depicting a horned door knocker and a house number of 33. Some people may have originally took the door knocker to be demonic in nature, but there's a reason I opted to say horned. I won't mention why that is for now because it's not really relevant. We then cut to Nara trying to get Gideon's attention so he can partake in a joke that both Elon and Nara came up with. Gideon, being his usual self, is reluctant to join in until Nara threatens him. The joke goes off a basis of a knock knock who's there kind of joke, but I'll let them say it.
It's a joke, Gideon. Just say, who's there?
But why?
Just do it!
Who's there?
Howie.
Oh, just,
We then see her holding a sign with Theban letters on it, which translate to Howie Who. These letters being used put further emphasis on the time period these characters came from. Theban alphabet was first publicised in the 16th century, and over time it became synonymous with Wiccans and witchcraft. Using this information alongside the answers that we received from the first episode's game, Birthday, which told us that both Elon and Nara died in 1650, as well as their colonial period clothing, and the methods that appear to have been used to kill them, this puts their deaths right in the bracket of witch trials. But I don't think it's the more commonly referenced trials in Salem, because they began after the time of their deaths, with the Salem witch trials beginning in 1692. Moving on, Gideon hears the punchline of the joke and as per usual he's completely unfazed. This leads to him once again being transported somewhere, this time to a locked room until he can come up with the perfect joke. This information is given to him by a letter, which is once again written in Theban. Gideon reads the words as they would be translated, aside from its signature, which reads as Midnight Occult. Unfortunately, looking through this further down the line, I've not found anything relating to Midnight Occult, so I assume this is just what Elon and Nara call their coven. As Gideon begins with his first attempt, we hear his full name for once, which is Gideon Phillips. 2 years pass, and Gideon is still struggling to create his perfect joke, but what we're going to focus on at the moment is the writing on the wall behind him. The sentence "wild parts of the world" is mentioned in an excerpt from a book named Remembering Jamestown, Hard Questions About Christian Mission, which reads as follows. A vast English literature on demonology taught that Satan reigned in the world's most remote and primitive territories. James I lent additional authority to this opinion nearly a decade before he ascended to the English throne, when he wrote that such wild parts of the world were imbued with the presence of evil, and colonists did not dispute the assumption that early 17th century Virginia was one of the wild parts of the world. So why is this important? I feel that it gives us the location of Elon and Nara's deaths. Jamestown, Virginia. During the time of 1626, and even as far up to 1730, Jamestown was the host of around 24 witch trials, so it makes sense that both Elon and Nara were victims of these trials, which Gideon stood as a judge for. Moving back to the episode, Gideon finally writes the world's funniest joke, and is allowed to go through the door. But not before we're shown 3 important images: a jar, a hanging chair, and a stand. 3 items linked to each character respectively. Then we're shown what actually happened. Gideon was never truly transported anywhere. Instead, he's been made to believe that he was trapped on the other side of the door, presumably done by a hex and not a curse, due to the nature of the punishment. Gideon was forced to stay trapped in his own mind until he was able to learn his lesson and write a joke which was similar to the style of Elon and Nara's. The difference between a hex and a curse is that curses are usually aimed to be prevalent for lifetime or for severely long periods of times. A hex is something done to teach somebody a lesson, and once that lesson has been learned, the hex is lifted. That is where episode 2 ends, but we still have a game to play. This episode's game focuses around the door, which happens to be another conduit for answers. The way to ask the door questions in this game is by using tap code, a style of code knocking that's been known to be used in prison settings, a fitting place to use such methods considering the nature of Gideon's hex. To play the game, you must tap out a word, and if it responds with an answer, the door will open, revealing an image. The words that I opted for were proselyte, excruciate, megalith, and Trinity. I noticed the word excruciate appear when Gideon was hexed and the screen in the episode went haywire. And well, as for Trinity, well, there are 3 of them, and a common symbol for Wicca is the triquetra, or Trinity Knot. All 4 of these words came up with answers, unfortunately using the names of the characters, as well as the words midnight, occult, key, and magic came up empty. Here are the results that I got. Megalith shows us a picture of, yes, you guessed it, the megalith. Proselyte shows and confirms Nara's death, a chair submerged in water. Excruciate appears to be linked with Elon, with the image being a burnt wooden stake. And Trinity gives us further confirmation of the time period they came from. 3 figures dressed in colonial America garb, with Gideon in the center, Elon on the far left hand side, and Nara on the right. And that brings Catghost 2's analysis to a close. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, let me know what your thoughts and theories are in the comments section, and even if you didn't, let me know how I can improve the series for you. Until next time, people, keep on surviving.